Jan, when we started the day, it was all about the Fed and a 50 basis point hike. Things have changed a bit with these headlines. And I'm wondering if the backdrop is what is going on in Europe and an invasion in Ukraine. Does that impact how the Fed views tightening at all, in your view?
Well, I think at the moment, there's no decision for the Fed to be made. The next meeting is still more than a month away. So I think we'll see where we stand at that point. But of course, geopolitical issues can have an impact on the economy, especially through commodity prices, and that can have an impact. But usually it is really more the economic data and financial conditions that drive this. But yeah, we'll have to see where we stand when the meeting is actually there.
It is interesting timing, Jan. It's Sarah here. Tightening into what some are worried about already, an economy that is slowing with the fiscal withdrawal of stimulus, and tightening into a hot geopolitical situation like this. What are the risks there?
The economy is slowing. The economy needs to slow. I mean, our expectation for growth is actually somewhat below the consensus, but we still have growth above the longer-term trend, which means that we're already at full employment, maybe on some measures beyond full employment, and the economy is still growing above trend. So I think it does make sense for the Fed to slow things down and normalize policy. So I think that's the backdrop. We're coming from extremely strong growth rates, obviously, because we're coming back from the from the pandemic recession, but we're still growing at a pretty rapid pace. I mean, we have 3%, a little over 3% growth for 2022, and that's definitely still above the long-term trend.
So then why wouldn't the Fed step in? Why is 50 basis points looked at as sort of the outlier view? When James Bullard said that, you had a bunch of other Fed officials, many of them non-voting, say that they don't see that path necessarily, but they left the possibility on the table. Why isn't 50 basis points a real viable option given where we are on inflation and, as you mentioned, the growth in the economy?
Look, I think it's a possibility. It's not our expectation. Our expectation is 25 basis points. The argument against doing 50 is not so much that it's a bigger step in March. It's more the concern that if you do 50 in March, that the markets then build in another 50 in May and another 50 in June, and you get a tightening in financial conditions that's maybe more abrupt than what the Fed wants. I would also say that if you go back to history and the 50 basis point steps that we've seen in the in 2000, in the 1990s previously, that was a period when there wasn't really communication about the whole path of policy. And now there is a lot more communication about what the Fed expects through the dot plot. And you can deliver, I think, more sort of hawkish news, not just through doing more at that meeting, but basically adding 25 basis point steps. And that would be our expectation, a long series of 25 basis point steps in 2022.